colonizing peace and wisdom. Why Solace here. Salam shalom. When you're dealing with minority races, those who are descendants of slavery, so they spank their kids. Now this was adopted from slavery times, meaning many of the ideals that we carry over, like spanking our children to keep them in line, these things were adopted from slave masters, are adopted. These ideals were adopted by those who were against us. Meaning if you spank your kids, you do no different than slave master would do to the slave to keep him in line. Slave master wouldn't beat his own kids. He talked to them. They're his kids, they're people. He talked to his family, his friends. He'll beat the slave. Now, if you go back before colonizers came to America, so no one's beating their child. That makes no sense. Truly think on that. You want your child to listen to you or be in line, so to say. Why would the thought of hitting them come to mind? Meaning for most people, they say if you hit somebody or you force them to do something, they ain't gonna do it right. Because they don't want to. That part. And so usually when you're dealing with someone you love, you're going to talk to them and try to force your perspective on them through words. Not by force, because you know the force is going to make them hate you. Now, if the person is not a family or a friend of yours, so you don't care if they hate you, especially if they're your property, this doesn't matter to you. They're not even at liberty to act on their hate, so why would you care? And so the point I'm making is we adopted a lot of morals from our ancestors who were brainwashed into slavery. And so if you find yourself hitting your child to keep them in line, try to pull from doing that, because you're instilling slavery into their mind, whether you believe it or not. You're instilling inferiority into them. This is why the slave master beat the slave. It wasn't about keeping them in line, but inferiority was a part of the beating as well, so that they know that they're less than. And so y'all beat y'all kids with that mindset. I'm the parent, you the kid, you're less than. And so, like I said, be mindful of these things. They plague our communities. When dealing with discussions on the word nigger, many people in today's times believe this word derives from the African word negus. Now that's incorrect. The word nigger derives from the Spanish word negra. If you remove the roll of the R, so you're left with nigger. Now you have to remember when you're dealing with America, so the colonizers came from Europe. And so America would be influenced by European languages. Again, Italy and Spain, they speak Spanish. America would be influenced by European-speaking languages, not African. The point I'm making? Nigger would not mean whatever negus means, because America was not influenced by African-speaking languages. We do not speak African languages here in America. So why would you think that the word derived from an African word? Now, if you know colonizers came to this place, and this place is influenced by their language, then it should be clear when a man says the word nigger means black, and it derives from the word negra, which is a Spanish-speaking word, which came from those colonizers that came from the Spanish-speaking lands here. And so that's how we got the word nigger, which only means black, a color. Now, when you're dealing with black people, they don't like that word either. Meaning if someone say, ooh, you black, they take offense. Meaning they see the word black as offensive, whether it's in a language that they know or don't. It's a deep thing. Try to grasp. Now, I know some of you guys will say, well, Africans were shipped here on boats. That's how the language got scrambled in. And so I'll say again, we don't speak any African languages here. That part. And so it doesn't matter how much you reach to make it an African word, it's not. Again, African colonizers didn't come here. Whoever was from Africa, I'm sure they were groomed into the languages that are speaking here, which would have derived from European-speaking languages, like English, Spanish, etc. Meaning all the languages you have in America, during the time of America being built up, all you had was European languages here. Spanish, English, and whatever the indigenous people that were here were speaking. Now, we don't speak the indigenous languages or any African languages here in America, but we do have all the European languages. And so, like I said, the word nigger derives from negra. You have those that have wisdom, and you have those who have agendas. Those who have agendas, they will take whatever knowledge they hold and manipulate it to go with their agenda. But this has nothing to do with truth. And so if you follow me, you make sure you keep all things pure. Meaning if I'm explaining African history, there is no agenda I need to alter it to fit. The only agenda I have is balance. Everyone must be balanced. In regards to nationalities, these are things that were made to separate us. This is why a Dominican person looks just like me. This is why I look just like a Haitian person. This is why I look just like someone from Ethiopia. Again, nationalities were instilled to put separation between people through their mind. And so I don't fall into any forms of lie. Period. I don't care how much benefit it is. There is no benefit in lie in the long run. And so try to grasp. Let's go deep on this thing. Let's go deep. Let's go deep. Why Solace who said, you Allah. All praises to the horizon. Salam, shalom. When dealing with man, most are products of Babylon. Babylon being the ancient word for city before there were any. So all you had was, nature around self. Forest, garden. And so as I said, most of mankind become products of Babylon. Now, of course, Babylon is the word for city before there were any. And so what comes with a Babylon or a city is a system of slavery, where men are made to be sheep. And so, of course, the rule of the city would be the shepherd king. And so in the past, of course, all kings wore the shepherd's crown. Now, the people of these cities were like this shepherd's king, were like this shepherd king's sheep, his livestock. And so, of course, they would be branded, clipped, many different things. But more than that, the mind would be groomed to be obedient and docile. And so, of course, if you were born into a city and raised up in one, or if you happen to eventually move to one at some point in your life and live there, so you adopt the ideals of Babylon. Now, when a man adopts the ideals of a Babylon being a system of slavery, so he adopts ideals that goes against himself, because he is not the shepherd king or the ruler, but he is the livestock in perspective. And so there's a great deal of sorcery. When I say sorcery, I mean spells, language, words, ideals planted into the mind of these people, the livestock of the city. And so they adopt these ideals that go against them. Now let's fast forward to present day. When you're dealing with black people, of course black is a color. Of course I do not subscribe to nationality, as most of you guys know. It is a means of separation. It is colonizers or rulers' tricks against the majority, so to say. And so I don't subscribe to nationality, nor do I acknowledge myself as a black. But I want you guys to grasp, when you're dealing with the black race, so they have adopted many qualities and ideals from the slave master during colonial times. These ideals all being against self. These qualities all being against self, because they are not slave master, which is ruler. And so if you pay attention to the black race, you'll realize we love one another like property. The way you love your property. You love your property. You would kill someone if they stole or harmed your property. But you do not love your property the way you love your wife, your kids. I'm speaking if you're another race outside of black. You have your property and you love it. You'd kill for it. Some of you would risk your life to defend your property, but you do not love this property more than a loved one, a person. Now, when you're dealing with the blacks, they love one another like property. They do not understand the love that other races have beyond that. Meaning other races have their property and the love for it. And then they have the love for their loved ones. Things that hold more value than property. Blacks do not understand that, believe it or not. Most are not even privy to realizing this. And so if you're black, please don't take offense. I'm here for you. I want you to grasp. During slavery, so we were not allowed to love on one another. Most during slave times were separated from their families, so they were raised among strangers. And so whatever love was shown or given came from slave master. If that love was wrong, so this is the love that was received, this is the love that was learned. Same kind of love being pushed out. Now, slave master loves his slave like his property, because that's what it is. If someone come along and harm one of his slaves, so that slave belonged to me. And you have no right touching my property. You get it? And so a slave receives that love from slave master. You know, the love that a slave master or anyone has for their property. The slave takes that as true love, real love. This is the only form of love it is privy to see, privy to receive. In that, generation after generation passes, and so we love each other in that same way. This is why when you're dealing with black people, once a person seems to lose value, they'll throw them away. It's a matter of that. Y'all judge one another in the manner that y'all do, so heavy, like slave master judge slave, because his love is not pure and true like it is for his loved ones, but it's a property thing, and so it has to measure up. And so I'm just trying to get blacks to see we have to unbrainwash the mind, first becoming aware that there's deep levels of sorcery, deep levels of, I don't want to say deep levels, but there's deep stains from sorcery, from slavery instilled into our mind space. And so we're loving one another wrong. As I've said, we've adopted ideals that truly go against the self. And so we have to relearn. Of course, first we have to acknowledge the condition and state that we're truly in. I'm speaking mind. There are no physical situations except those that one put themselves into. And so, truly grasp all starts with the mind. The thoughts. Cannot serve two masters, and so this goes beyond individuals or people or persons. This is a matter of life. You cannot serve day and night. That part. You cannot be awake for the day and for the night. You have to pick one. Yes, I know people sometimes stay up for 24 hours, but this is a rare occasion. No one does this consistently. And so grasp. Look at every aspect of life in that way. You have the duality. You can't serve both sides. And so in order for you to be loved by one side, you'll be hated by the other. If you're loved by this side, so you'll be hated by that side. And so a lot of you guys are reaching for love from the wrong side that is truly not for you, but it is a side that is filled with Babylonian ideals, which goes against the self. So, truly grasp. If the world hates you, on another side you're loved, because life is balanced, period. Whether man is balanced or not doesn't matter, but life is balanced. And so man has to fall in line with that balance, or he will receive from imbalance. And so grasp. If the world loves you, so you've given self to the world, and so on another side of life, you're hated. And so this is every aspect of life. Meaning if you're down with this crowd, I suppose this crowd hates you. If that crowd starts to like you, I suppose the crowd you came from will start to hate you. Life is a balance. You have to grasp. There's no such thing as living imbalanced. Life will always balance out. And so you make sure you're on the balance. It's a deep thing. Solace said, you Allah. All praises to the horizon. Salam, shalom.